Hey, hey, hey. Happy Monday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, amazingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. Tonight is Monday, June 6th, 2022. This is live stream 795. This is your first time joining me, let me point out, super casual around here. Just kicking back, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and then taking a peek at a tabletop game. So right now, all throughout the month of June, it is the fantasy role-playing game celebration. So every episode of the Dispatch is going to feature a fantasy role-playing game. I'm actually even going to do some live reviews, which I don't do very often, but we're going to have some fun. But tonight, it is not a review. It is going to be a first look, and we are going to be diving on into Swarms of the Multiverse for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. This is from Splinterverse Media, and we will be taking a look at this in just a bit. Should mention, once again, if you're not familiar with this stream, we tackle the tabletop gaming news first, and then we dive into a game. So it'll be about 30 minutes or so, maybe a little bit longer than that, before we jump on into Swarms of the Multiverse. So if you're watching live, just relax, take it easy, enjoy yourself. If you're watching after this stream ends, in fact, if it's 30 minutes or more after the stream ends, you should be able to actually click on any of the timestamps, both in the show notes or in the timeline of the video, if you want to jump past the tabletop gaming news and get right into Swarms of the Multiverse. So you've got that option as well, although we've got some cool news tonight, so you may not want to skip past. So I should mention, if you like this video, and if you're watching live, and if you watch live all the time, you probably should like this video. You'll want to give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And of course, if you subscribe, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Central right here on YouTube. It'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my first look. I shouldn't say first look, it's my review. Got first look on the brain. My review of Death in Space from Stockholm Cartel and Free League Publishing. So if you are curious if this is just simply Mick in space, check out the review. You will find out, and I'll tell you what I think of it as well. So, and it's the special hologram edition. Woo! Although you're probably not getting that full effect on screen right now, or in the review video, actually. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you won't find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Also, this is a live stream, so that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. Plus, you do have to be a subscriber to the channel for at least 48 hours in order to take part in chat. Yet another way that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, maybe you got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in and I will do my best to respond. First out the gate tonight is the Motor City Madman himself. Yes, the Madman, who happens to be one of our chat moderators, is first saying howdy. Mr. Eddie T is here. Helga Ratbone, Kevin R. Smith, Sarah D is chiming in. Game Ninjas is with us again tonight as well. Mr. Eddie T points out the review of Death in Space, which you know that's not how I want to pronounce it. It's not how I want to say it. Death in Space. Mr. Eddie T says, yeah, that was a good review. Looks pretty cool. Yeah, kind of laid out what you can expect with the mechanics of this system are very, very basic. It is a very rules-light game. But I'm giving too much away. You got to watch the video. Got to watch the video. Yes. Coco B. There we go. Death in Space with the little pig. Because I always think of pigs in space from the Muppet Show whenever I look at Death in Space. And I always want to say it. It's weird how things just pop into your head and they just latch in there like a brain sucking. Yeah. Like a leech. Like the old joke. You know, you go up to a kid and you go like that to their head and you're like, what's that? I'm like, it's a brain leech. It's dying. All righty then, let's jump on into the news. Because returning to print is the fashion design game Make It Happen. And here's the score from Indie Boards and Cards. It's New York City Fashion Week, and your design team is ready to show the most fabulous collection ever seen on the runway. Work together with your team to collect matching fabric cards so that you can complete your collection. Once you create a garment, place your fabric cards on your models and see your fashion creations come to life. Work with your team to collect and place sets of fabric while influencing the season's trends. The team that designs the highest scoring fashion line will win the competition. You're going to collect matching fabric cards, create garments for your collection, show your stuff on the runway, and the game ends when one team has completed garments for all 3 of their model boards. Are you ready to make it happen? Make It Happen is for 2 to 12 players, ages 14 and up, plays in around 30 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of $19.99 when it makes its return on June 29th. Thought I'd start off with a very family-friendly sort of game. And interestingly enough, you can have up to 12 players. So you could almost make this a party game for some of the youngsters. This doesn't strike me as a game that is really for adults. And it's got to have this ages 14 and up simply because of components that can be swallowed or something like that. And that is why it's 14 and up, because it certainly does not look like it's a complex game to wrap your head around. So the man says, so I take a t-shirt and athletic shorts wouldn't be the goal here. I don't know. Maybe there's a model board that is, athletic wear. Could be. Could be. On to the next news piece. This summer, you're going to be able to embark on a whodunit from KOSMOS. Here's the scoop on Red Cliff Bay mysteries. Mysterious things are happening in the tranquil coastal town of Red Cliff Bay. You are a team of investigators and need to get to the root of these occurrences in 4 exciting cases. You'll meet several peculiar residents. All of them have their own particular traits, and some even have dark secrets. But who has something to hide? Round by round, you need to decide which location to visit to find important clues and interrogate people. An exciting feature of the game is the possibility of missing out on things happening in locations that you're not currently in, making teaming up and cleverly deciding where to go and when integral to your success. This is a cooperative crime thriller game, similar to adventure games, but with a double sided game board. Work together with your team of detectives to decide how the investigation moves forward, and it includes 4 exciting cases to solve. Red Cliff Bay Mysteries is for 1 to 5 players, ages 12 and up, plays around 60 minutes per mystery. It's going to carry an MSRP of $39.95 when it arrives in August. So just in time for Gen Con is going to be my guess. I will see about maybe putting together another Gen Con interview with the fine folks over at KOSMOS. Maybe we can actually get a peek at this, because it is not the exit game kind of lineup. It is not an escape room game. It is a board game with 4 mysteries. I'm kind of curious if the mysteries are replayable. Like, I'm not positive. It looks like each one has like a deck of cards, possibly. So I kind of have the impression that once you play the mystery, that's it. But there are 4 cases for you to solve. Russell Higgins is with us in chat. Good to see you, Russell. Happy Monday, everybody. On to some role-playing game news. Paizo Inc. has revealed the popular Pathfinder adventure campaign, The Abomination Vaults, is coming to 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. Here's what I know. One of Pathfinder's most popular and exciting campaigns comes to 5e at last. At Paizo, we have a lot of confidence in our adventures. We've been crafting phenomenal campaigns for many years, and the Pathfinder 2nd edition rules have only helped us make more. The Abomination Vaults adventure path has been one of our best campaigns, and our fans love it. But a lot more gamers all over the world play the newest edition of the world's oldest role-playing game. What could that be? And we wanted to show them how great Paizo's adventure paths can be, too. When the mysterious Gauntlight, an eerie, landlocked lighthouse, glows with baleful light, the people of Atari know something terrible is beginning. Evil stirs in the depths of the Abomination Vaults, a sprawling dungeon where a wicked sorcerer attempted to raise an army of monsters hundreds of years ago. The town's newest heroes must venture into a sprawling dungeon filled with beasts and traps to prevent a spiteful spellcaster from rising again. This complete compilation of the original Adventure Path campaign has been adapted to the newest version of the world's oldest role-playing game. How many times are going to use that? Could have just said 5e. You've heard about the quality and depth of Pathfinder campaigns for years. Now explore the Abomination Vaults yourself without having to learn a new game system. The 5th edition Abomination Vault is going to arrive in October. It's going to carry an MSRP of $59.99. So there is that. If I remember correctly, when this originally came out for Pathfinder 2nd edition, it was a 3-part adventure path. And I wasn't completely on board with Paizo as far as like review copies of stuff. And I think we were sent 1 of the 3 chapters. So sort of like, what am I supposed to do here? Like, Russell Higgins points out that they like that cover. Yes, the artwork is pretty cool. I do believe that the artwork for the 5e edition is also the same as the artwork that is going to be on the Pathfinder 2nd edition compilation, because alongside the 5e edition is also a hardcover of the 3-part second edition Pathfinder adventure path. So that is coming as well. I think that also is slated for an October release. So Russell Higgins points out that they're not big on Kickstarters, but the Savage Worlds Battlelords of the 23rd Century is up. I have taken a look at some of the Battlelords of the 23rd Century releases. I got to be honest, I haven't really reviewed the core rulebook because, for one, it is just super, super crunchy. There's just, and I'm kind of turned off by that. But for Savage Worlds, there goes the crunch, right? Otherwise, it's not going to be Savage Worlds. 245 Trioxin is with us in chat. Welcome aboard. Good to see you once again. Let's move on to our next news piece, because next week is going to see the release of the box set Agents of Dune for the Dune Adventures in the Imperium role-playing game from Modiphius Entertainment. Here's the skinny. Arrakis is yours. Your house is to become the new governor of Arrakis in an alternate what-if scenario where you must ensure the supply of the vital spice melange to the known universe. With the eyes of the entire Imperium watching your every move, can you retain control of the treasure of Arrakis, or will this appointment spell the destruction of your house? The Agents of Dune campaign experience box set, say that 5 times fast, offers a complete introduction to the world of Dune and the Dune Adventures in the Imperium role-playing game. The box contains everything you need to start playing, with no preparation required. Even if you're new to Dune or role-playing games, this set guides you through an epic story where your characters are the heroes. The Agents of Dune box set includes a complete 116-page adventure with step-by-step guidance as you play, 5 character folios for the members of House Nagara, 2 50-card decks detailing NPCs, assets, and traits for use during play, a complete spice harvesting system to keep track of your successes or failures in running Arrakis. There's also 3 handouts and 4 zone maps that bring the experience of Arrakis to your gaming table, as well as 54 tokens and 2 trackers for momentum, threat, determination, 5 custom 20-sided dice featuring the symbol of the great sandworms of Arrakis. And also included in the box is a code to receive a free digital copy of the Dune Adventures in the Imperium core rulebook to expand your campaign even further after play. The Agents of Dune box set is going to carry an MSRP of $82 when it arrives in stores on June 14th. The PDF is currently available right now at DriveThruRPG. Of course, keeping in mind there's no dice, there's no physical components to it. And I would highly doubt that you also get a coupon for the free PDF of the core rulebook. But you can get the PDF for Agents of Dune at DriveThruRPG for $20. Well. Kevin asks, is that a starter set by another name? I honestly don't think so. I'm not positive. But I thought that this was actually created by folks over at Gale Force 9. And it's being released through Modiphius, or Modiphius licensed it from, well, no, I take that back. I think Gale Force 9 licensed it from Modiphius, because I thought Modiphius has the license for Dune. Although we do see the Dune games from Gale Force 9 and other companies as well. But I think the Agents of Dune was actually created by folks at Gale Force 9. I could be wrong. So I don't think that this is a traditional sort of starter set because it kind of, if you go with the sell sheet info, it's essentially telling you that this is all you need to play this campaign. Everything you need is right there in the box. And you're getting a copy of the core rulebook PDF to expand on that afterwards. So I have to admit, this looks very, very interesting. I don't know if I'm going to get to see a copy of this or not. I do have a pretty good relationship with the PR contact with Modiphius, but I don't know. I do not know. I gotta say, this looks kind of cool. I'm intrigued. I really am. I am intrigued because I love the fact that it's a what if scenario where, you know, House Atreides has nothing to do with this. Now, House Harkonnen, I'm sure, is part of this. But yeah, I thought this is kind of cool. Kind of cool. All right, let's wrap up the news. Available once again in print and PDF from Shield of Faith Studios is the American Survival Guide. And here's what I know about the Dungeon Crawl Classic setting and source book. A gonzo post-apocalyptic campaign setting and source book based on the articles of Crawling Under a Broken Moon. Foretold in the ancient calendars early in the 21st century, a rogue object from deep space hurtled near the Earth and struck the moon. Its impact caused catastrophic destruction around the globe, ripping the very fabric of time and space itself. Yet mankind survived. Centuries later, the planet is reborn, a strange new place of alien wonder and death, a world ruled by savagery, cruel sorcery, and twisted science. Now is the time for the mighty to rise up and take their place in this perilous and untamed land. Will they bring justice or suffering? Only time will tell. Within this irradiated tome, you will find a dozen new or revised character class options, 9 of which are unique to America. Clerics of the Wasteland, the Cyborg, Feral Urchin, Fossorian, or Fossorian? Must be like a fossil hunter or something. Greys, mutants, petrol heads, robots, scavengers, technologists, wasteland warriors, and wizards of the wasteland. There's new piecemeal armor and a system that incorporates damage resistance, ablatives, and armor degradation. An extensive revised mutation system usable by all characters and creatures. An expanded vehicular creation and combat system for all of your petrol head needs. A pantheon of American gods and patrons, old and new. A comprehensive section on the Citadel of Scrap, a good campaign setting point for exploring America. Dozens of random tables covering aspects of everyday wasteland life, finding salvage and adventure creation, plus much, much more. All of this is fully compatible with the Dungeon Crawl Classics role-playing game from Goodman Games. Do want to note, there are actually 2 different covers available. One is Chase, and the other is Delve. The one that you're going to see here in the news piece is actually Delve. The 286-page America Survival Guide is available at DriveThruRPG as a hardcover, including the PDF, for $41.50. You can get it as a softcover with the PDF for $26.50, or you can get the PDF alone right now for $6.99. That's a pretty sweet deal. $6.99. So I do know that you can also get this over at the Goodman Games website, but it is actually more expensive. It is less at DriveThruRPG by like $3.50, something like that. But that PDF is a sweet deal. That is a special price only at DriveThruRPG. Not even close over at the Goodman Games website. That's why I'm giving you the DriveThruRPG web address and not Goodman Games there. I have heard some interesting things about Crawling Under a Broken Moon and the American Survival Guide and the America. I think it's just supposed to be America. It's America. America. If I remember correctly, and once again, I've never checked this out, but I like the Dungeon Crawl Classic stuff and Mutant Crawl Classic stuff, and this is third party, but this is, come on, it's like almost 300 pages of content for $7 in PDF. I thought I had heard that like one of the gods, one of the pantheons, is supposed to be like Ronald McDonald. That's kind of funny. I get a kick out of that. There is a bunch of other content as well for America. So this is not the only release that is there from Shield of Faith, but it's on sale. I thought I'd share it. I thought I would share it. Russell Higgins says, I enjoyed that setting from Goodman Games right out of the 60s sci-fi. If you're talking about this is actually not Goodman Games. It's released through Goodman Games, but it's also released through DriveThruRPG. So Coco B said they're playing in a Mutant Crawl Classics funnel this Thursday with their gaming gang. Sweet. Yeah, I get a kick out of the funnels. Russell Higgins also points out, love those funnels. They're a nice way to get, especially if people are new to the system. I think the funnel adventures are a great way to introduce them and kind of drive home the point that, hey, this is going to be a pretty deadly game. And oh, by the way, you survive with that character? Well, that's your character now. I like that. Pretty cool. Should also point out that the America Survival Guide is compatible with Dungeon Crawl Classics, not Mutant Crawl Classics. Important to keep that in mind. All right, that is it for the news tonight. Of course, I was just talking about DriveThruRPG. And of course, the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to visit, say, DriveThruRPG or DM's Guild or Storyteller's Vault or any number of the One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. All those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also want to mention, if you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, if you like what we do, you can always buy me a cup of coffee or some soda by swinging on over to paypal.me/thegaminggang and making a small donation. And thanks to all of you out there who either use the DriveThruRPG One Bookshelf site banners or make small donations or do both. It is highly appreciated. Thank you very, very much. Because, I don't do Kickstarters to hang around. So I'm not always sitting there going, oh, give me that. So Russell Higgins points out, Mutant Crawl Classics just exchanges mutant abilities for the specialized fantasy classes. I got to be honest, I did not care for Mutant Crawl Classics as much as I did Dungeon Crawl Classics because I thought the Mutant Crawl Classics rulebook was pretty bare bones. It really was. And if I remember correctly, I think it was written by one of the gentlemen who used to be on Spellburn, which was I don't know if it's still around. Maybe it's not. But it was the podcast for Dungeon Crawl Classics, which was actually a pretty good podcast. at least with the original folks. I didn't listen to like every episode, but I listened to quite a few. But it actually was not written by the same folks who wrote Dungeon Crawl Classics. So anyway, I mean it's okay, it's fine. It's just to me there's a lot missing from it when you compare it to what's in Dungeon Crawl Classics. And the page count is far less as well. All righty then. So we're going to be jumping into Swarms of the Multiverse for 5e in just a couple of moments. But first, I did want to mention 78 years ago today, American-led forces of the Allies, including thousands of British and Canadian troops, landed on the beaches of Normandy with the aim of liberating France and eventually all of Europe from the grip of the Nazis. So it is, in my opinion, it's important to always remember their sacrifice. And if things had gone not the way they went, things would be very, very different. Very, very different. In fact, okay, so here's an oddball side track here. So my brother has been in various different TV shows and stuff like that. Most people recognize him in the Batman movie with Heath Ledger. I always forget the title of it. So, as a police officer, and he's like right there on screen, like boom, in focus, there's him. But anyway, he also has been in like TV shows on cable channels and that. And he was in a couple episodes of a show on the Weather Channel. And I think the show was called something like When Weather Made History or something along those lines. And my brother, of course, he doesn't have any lines. He never has lines. Thank you, Dark Knight. Thank you, everybody. I don't know why I zoned on that. Duh. Anyway, so my brother actually plays the meteorologist who came up with the weather forecast for D-Day and got them to change the date because the date they were originally planning on going, there was going to be just big storms in that. And I guess they had to move it up. They moved the invasion up. And when those storms hit, they actually tore up some of the temporary docks and stuff like that they had put together. So if they had not paid attention to his forecast, there could have been real trouble. So Omenal points out, no, Normandy War Games? I feel cheated. I could have shared a Battle of the Bulge War Game news piece, but I mean, come on, another Bulge game? Hey. It's like, come on, man. So yes, so here in the U.S., because here's one of the things also that a lot of people don't realize is by the time D-Day came around, the reason why the Allies tended to be in the, essentially the vanguard of everything is because Britain had pretty much been bled dry. They did not have much manpower left to give. So if things had gone very poorly, at least where I'm at, we'd probably be speaking German. If you were living out on the West Coast, you might be speaking Japanese. But thankfully, not that I have anything against the Germans or Japanese now, but thankfully, that is not the case. Also, wanted to mark another anniversary. This one, we're not going as far back, but a year ago today, I was in the hospital. That's right. It was my 6th day in the hospital, awaiting a triple bypass in the morning. That's right. So I moved into the ICU, which is where I took this picture, at about 10 p.m. And of course, couldn't wear my contacts, right? They had to have those out. So I had to have just glasses and things like that. And this was me after I got settled in to the intensive care unit, which is where I was going to return after my, hopefully, knock on wood, right? For my triple bypass the next morning. So, kind of thinking back about that. You figure at this point in time, I had been in the hospital since the morning of June 1st. And I had to wait because they had to cycle out the one medication that I was on. It's a blood thinner. It's Plavix, but it's like a generic Plavix. So they had to cycle that out. So it took all that time for them to replace that blood thinner with another that they could actually utilize. Because if they had opened me up on that Plavix, well, I'd just bleed out. So yes, Omenal points out, glad no open back gown. Actually, it was an open back, but it was big enough that you could tie it closed. Because, yeah, I was like, eh. So there was a little bit of discussion about D-Day. Madman points out they had a great uncle who was an observer on D-Day. And when he got home from the war, his jet black hair had turned white. Omenal points out their step-grandfather was on the beaches with a tractor to clear the mines. Not sure when he landed. And, of course, Mr. Eddie T says, they're also thankful it is not a open back gown. Well, no, of course I wouldn't. If that were the case, I would not be sharing that picture. Come on. Or at least if I was sharing it and it was an open back gown, I would, censor that out. Jeez. Bunch of playmates. So, of course, tomorrow I'll kind of mention my aftermath from the open heart surgery. And I'll share a picture that I don't think I have ever shared on the show before. That my brother took, and it was of me right after I came out of surgery when I was still unconscious, when I was still, they kept me under for, I think it was a couple of hours or something like that. All righty. So enough of that. But hey, a couple of anniversaries. One far more important than the other for all of you. And then another one probably more important to me than all of you. All right, so we're going to jump on into Swarms of the Multiverse in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
Man starts strolling down. Delicious. Cork that stuff. Give me 5. Let me send you into. Wilkins Instant Coffee soothes the headaches of life.
I don't have any headaches.
Care for cream and sugar?
Something different for a change? Then try the perfect refreshment, Chili Dilly. A delicious pickle treat that's spiced just right for every bite. Economical, too. There's no waste. You eat every bit of the juicy goodness of Chili Dilly. How about trying one right now? Chili Dilly. On sale at our concession stand. You'll love 'em.
Yes, they're a little too focused on that young woman and the pickle. Also, yet another Wilkins and Wontkins commercial. I've noticed in a lot of the commercials with Wilkins and Wontkins, and they did a lot of commercials for other companies too, not just Wilkins Coffee. It's like Wontkins starts off like he's chewing something, like he almost like he's chewing cud. It's like, Russell Higgins says, she's using her teeth. I know. But just the way they're like, whoa, let's zoom in on the girl with the pickle. It's like, all right, relax. So Kevin says, oh my God, that one was so old. Jazz was cool music back then. Omen also points out, what's an intermission without violence? I know. Yeah, there are a couple more Wilkins coffee commercials that are really like, holy cow. Russell asks, can I get a pack of smokes and a shot at that concession stand? I keep hemming and hawing about sharing an intermission ad that includes cigarettes, because there are a lot. I should say a lot. I mean, there are a few. And I'm like, some people get like upset. I don't want anybody to get triggered by a cigarette ad during an intermission. Game Ninjas says they always love the intermissions. Try to have a little bit of fun with that. All right. So moving right along tonight, I am going to take a first look and page through Swarms of the Multiverse from Splinterverse Media. This 187-page hardcover plus PDF is available as a print on demand from DriveThruRPG for $39.99. You can get the soft cover with PDF for $34.99. So honestly, for $5, you might as well just get the hardcover. Or you can get just the PDF itself for $19.99. Swing on over to the other camera. I do want to point out, Splinterverse does not have a website. Strangely enough, they do have a YouTube channel, though. So that's why I'm sharing that web address as opposed to DriveThruRPG, which obviously enough, we already know you can pick it up at DriveThruRPG. It's the only place you can get this. I don't think it is over on DM's Guild, but there are other Splinterverse Media releases as well. I'll kind of mention that as we dive on in. So let's swing on over to the other camera as Zero Theory is joining us, mentioning they always miss the beginning. You missed the news. You can always go back. It's not a big deal. Unless you're one of those publishers that we're talking about, then maybe it is a big deal. All right, swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Swarms of the Multiverse. Do want to mention the fine folks over at Splinterverse Media were kind enough to provide me with this review copy. But as always, neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. Of course, it's important you know that. I'm also going to say picture-in-picture up here, as always. So as we take a look through, I'll be cutting off a little bit of the upper left portion of the book. We're not going to look at each and every page, but I do want to give you a good feel for what you're going to find in Swarms of the Multiverse for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. Let's take a look at the back here. An entire horde of gold coins moving under its own power. Writhing insects that cover every surface of a passageway. Sentient crystals that merge into a giant sparkling creature. There are many forms a swarm of creatures can take, but why do these creatures come together? What makes them different? Who controls them? The answers to these questions and more await you inside these pages. Then it talks about what we've got inside the book. Of course, we're going to find out because we're diving on in. So keep in mind, this is a print on demand. So this is matte. The paper has a matte finish to it. Pretty decent page quality. The paper quality is pretty good. Do want to mention there are a lot of designers, a lot of illustrators who had worked on this. So let's give them a moment. Whoops, in the sun here. Let's try to share these credits a bit. I mean, those are a lot of names for me to butcher while trying to read them. So we'll just take a peek there. Russell Hagen says, "That's not adventure. Dollar bills crawl out of my wallet daily." Oh, gold coins. It's a little different. So as far as Splinterverse Media, they have two publications that are on DriveThruRPG, but they've been part of a lot of other 5e third-party publications. And I think they are over at DM's Guild. So something for you to keep in mind. Like I had shared that web address for their YouTube channel. They've got quite a few videos. So we've got swarm creation. Like creatures, creating swarms is a mixture of art and science. Some swarm statistics are straightforward and mathematical. Geez, Jeff, how about reading English here? There you go. Splinterverse is with us in chat. Yep, we have 4 books on DM's Guild and 2 on DriveThru. See, there we go. Every once in a while, I pull these things out of the air, and I am correct. Not always, but sometimes. So let's see. A comparison of official 5th edition creatures with their swarm counterparts reveals that no 2 swarms are created equally. So we get some information. It's going to talk about base creatures, challenge ratings, name, size, alignment, ability scores, armor class, hit points. So it's basically breaking down what we're going to find in these stat blocks. So we've got a complete checklist when you're creating a swarm. And then there's also a quick checklist and an example. So you've got a scorpion. I could talk about having scorpions in your home because I've had that happen and it is not pleasant. Because if you find one, you got to find the other or more. Never just one in your house. And then we've also got the swarm of scorpions. Even worse. Pretty nice artwork. I like the artwork, looks pretty good. Got swarm options. Celestial swarms, face swarms, fiend swarms, deadlier swarms. And then I think, are we jumping on in? Are we jumping into it? No, I don't think we're jumping into the bestiary yet. Now we are. So here we go. Here's our bestiary. So we get some lore. We got our game stats, habits, and tactics. Always like to see that. I always like to see designers provide a bit of tactical information. There is a reason why the monsters know what they're doing, and its sequel, More Monsters Know What They're Doing, are so popular. And I have both. I actually have not only both as books, but I also have them as audiobooks. And they're very interesting, but I got to point out, they are not an easy read to just sit through and knock like 100 pages out. at times because it gets a little redundant because it's sort of like, oh, okay, now we're talking about these creatures, but it is very interesting, and I have to give the author some credit because he's actually delved into the actual like attribute scores to come up with, well, this is what this means. Okay, well, it's got a wisdom of 5. Well, that's what this means here. So pretty interesting. Okay, so now we're going to get into our bestiary here. Once again, we're going to start skipping some pages. So we have the alchemic ooze. Looks like we might have a few pages devoted to some of these rather than just a couple. So it looks like that is kind of a skunkish creature. So the Karkan. The madman points out that they've got their hardcover sitting in front of them of this book, having gotten through the entire book yet, but really liking what he's seen so far. And those chaos sprites have given the madman ideas. Perkins Dearborn's with us in chat. Good to see you, Perkins. Nice to have you swinging by. So they're pointing out that they love the stat blocks and the artwork. Yes, artwork is very, very nice so far, which, once again, keep in mind, this is a third-party product. This is not from Wizards of the Coast. This is not an official Dungeons & Dragons release or anything like that. So sometimes third-party products, artwork's a little shaky, but this is looking really nice. Very, very cool so far. The Death Snail just happens to have a skull as a home. So Splinterverse points out that they're glad the madman is enjoying the book. And yes, the Chaos Sprites have so many possibilities, especially with the wild effects. Oh, that's nice. The Deep Sleeper. There is a grain of truth to all legends, especially those most horrible. Crewless ghost ships and suddenly abandoned coastal villages are a common trope in many voyagers' tales. Most of them have mundane explanations, pirates throwing all crewmates overboard, or a fish migration that forces fishers to find a new bountiful location. Yet the fates of some missing Marines are far more gruesome. The most unfortunate meet their end at the hands of deep sleepers. 03 says they love the idea of a tiny skull for the hermit crab. The diviner mouth. I should point out, I normally mention this from time to time, but I'll have people ask, how come I read the chat out loud when people could be, looking at the chat as it's taking place or after the fact? And the reason why I do that is because there are a lot of people who actually watch the show either on a phone or a tablet or on their TVs. Some people just listen to the audio as they commute to work. So a lot of times people are using devices that they can't see the chat, or they're not watching the video. They're listening to the video as if it were a podcast. So that's why a lot of times I'll read many of the chat comments. The Emberlinks, the cat with multiple glowing eyes. Oh, the Emberlinks kitten. Oh, that's so sweet. Sort of like chaotic evil. Yes, it is chaotic evil. Viper Dave has joined us. Good to see you, Viper Dave. Welcome aboard. The Fell Hive. Fell Hives are the Shadow Realm's grim twist on a hornet's nest. Oh, that's nice. Oh, can't stand wasps and hornets and yellow jackets. I swear, in this area, it could be 20 degrees one day, and the next day it's 50 degrees, and we've got yellow jackets all over the place. And it's like, where did you come from? It's like, it was 20 degrees yesterday. The Flaming Skeleton. Flaming skeletons are nomadic remnants called forth by their commander to reap destruction on those that brought about their violent ends. They gather in units that reflect their military lives, but their burning need for vengeance above all else leaves little room for discipline in the ranks. Aha. So we've got a few different types, which we're seeing in the swarms. We're not just saying, okay, here's an individual creature and then here's a swarm of them. We are seeing that we have some various different types of those creatures, some different variations on them. Got the gem skull, the ghost nettle. Is that an eye poking out? Yeah, it's an undead creature. Says it's a tiny undead creature. But then again, when you have a swarm of them, it's going to be different. I also appreciate the fact that we've got adventure hooks for each of these. So not only are we getting stat blocks and tactics and habits of the creatures, we're also getting some hooks that could be utilized to include these swarms in your D&D adventures. So we had different books. The Lost Books. That's kind of interesting. We have a demi-plane of books. The Magpie Count. It's a mildew carrier. Oh, that's nice. Just get some Mr. Clean. You can take care of the mildew carrier. Just get some Mr. Clean. The Morbid Haunt. Patchwork Seahorse. Yeah, this artwork is excellent. I'm really digging the artwork. The Puffle. Must be related to the Tribble. Thought to originate on the elemental plane of air, Puffles are playful creatures that are drawn to strong emotions. Happiness, fear, sadness, and anger are just a few of the emotional states that attract these rare creatures. Most notably, their behavior differs based on the emotion encountered. They're neutral good. Scavenger Squid. We have different strandlings, it looks like. The Swarm Soul. A Swarm Soul is a sorcerer who has formed a symbiotic relationship with a living miasma. I couldn't even, boy, this font is a little small. Miasma, or as some people pronounce it, miasma. A soul swarm often appears like any normal spellcaster, except it has a black or ashen smoky cloud that seeps out of its mouth when it's open. These clouds give the swarm soul its name, for the miasma it breathes is a collection of tiny nightmare strands plucked from horrors dreamt by those tortured in some long forgotten abyss. Well, that's pleasant. Want to have them over for a party. Game Ninjas points out that they've been looking for a swarm book, and this might just be what they needed. There's also a little bit of discussion of Savage Pathfinder. So I know the Madman is kind of our resident Savage Worlds expert, and I guess he's running Savage Pathfinder. I thought he recently had like a total party kill in one of his games. Russell Higgins says, I just got back from the concession stand. Yes, during our intermission, we have the Verdant Warden. Okay, so then we get into our appendix. So looks like we've got some of these are broken up by type. Oh, we have wild effects. Our creature list by terrain, by plane, and And then we have by challenge rating. All right, there you go. You can follow Splinterverse Media on YouTube, as I had already shared their channel address prior. They're on Twitter as well as Facebook. And I also got a copy of Potions Unlocked that I will be sharing in the near future. But here are their other releases. The Feywild Companion is the one that I've heard of, and Fizbin's Vault of Draconic Secrets. But the Feywild Companion, I think, is a pretty big seller over at DM's Guild. All right, so there you go. That is Swarms of the Multiverse for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. See, I can say that because I'm not the publisher. I don't have to worry about open game license and things like that. I can say whatever I want. Beholder. Beholder. Once again, this 187-page hardcover with PDF is available as a print on demand from DriveThruRPG for $39.99. You can get the softcover with PDF for $34.99 or grab just the PDF alone for $19.99. And I will look to have a review of this in the relatively near future. Okay, pretty cool. Excellent. Very impressed with the artwork and everything, I have to say. Flaming Heron's with us. I don't know if Flaming Heron's just getting here or if he's been floating around and I just missed it. So he is our other chat moderator. So Splinterverse Media points out, thanks so much for the coverage. Of course, they love the show. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's an acquired taste for many people. So, Flaming Heron says Jeff's only beholden to the YouTube overlords. I'm not even really beholden to them either. So it's not like anybody at YouTube's going out of their way to share my videos with anybody. All right. So the fantasy role-playing game Celebration is going to continue tomorrow. I am going to share my review and page through Pathfinder Absalom City of Lost Omens from Paizo Inc. That's on tomorrow's show. Wednesday, I will be sharing a review. Yes, we're getting some live reviews. That is very rare around these here parts. But I will be sharing my live review of Original Adventures Reincarnated, Volume 3, Expedition to the Barrier Peaks, which is from Goodman Games. So if you're curious about this, I'll tell you what I think. All right. That is it for tonight's show. Do want to mention that when you're watching live, you should be obviously doing this. But if you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell. It will not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Central, right here on YouTube. It'll also inform you when I upload other videos, such as my unboxing and first look at Wormholes from designer Peter McPherson and AEG. So if you're curious about this, take a peek. Just uploaded this yesterday. So give it a look. If the name Peter McPherson kind of rings a bell, he is the designer of Tiny Towns, which was a big hit for AEG. In fact, it is a game that I have to leave in my car. Yep, it's one of those trunk games where I'll be, someplace where we're playing games and somebody will say, hey, do you got that little town game? Yes, it's out in the car. All righty then. So if you were watching live, thank you very much. If you took part in chat while watching live, And those are bonus points. Much appreciated. Thank you very, very kindly. But of course, I know a lot of people out there, they don't have an opportunity to watch the stream live. Doesn't matter how you watch. It could be live or on Memorex. All that really matters is how much I really appreciate you taking some time out of your busy life to watch any of the videos on this channel. Thank you so very, very much. All right, once again, I'll be back tomorrow night. And here's hoping each and every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.
Oh, hey, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel by clicking right here. Check out the latest episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch, or find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks for watching.